Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the hack,
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied! Denied! Yafet Mundi with
to seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
the line drive into left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gales are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR Sports Radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
Good morning. Wait a minute. Wait till this next one. Good morning and welcome to Michael and Luca and my other great friend Andrew's Excellent Adventure podcast number 5. I am very excited and we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting topics today. I am here with we have a new guest here today, my roommate Andrew. He is from Mineola. How are you today, Andrew?
Is this on?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm doing great. How about you, Michael?
I am doing good. And how are you today, Luca?
I'm doing well.
Now, on Friday, the basketball season kicked off their first game at home against Hofstra. Luca and Andrew, how do you think Iona looked on Friday?
I think we looked pretty well. CJ Anthony as well as Denver Anglin were two of our best players, in my opinion. They were very, very good. The team showed a lot of heart. But towards the end, we slowed down a little bit as far as like points scoring goes. But I think especially compared to last year, we were a lot better, especially in the beginning as far as like scoring 3-pointers. And that was great.
Luca, how do you think they did?
Yes, I think they played great on Friday, showed a lot of heart and hustle and always stayed in there and never gave up or anything like that.
I got a very good impression from how they looked on Friday. On parent weekend about a month ago, me and my parents went to watch the Iona basketball team practice, and I'm sitting next to my dad, and my dad said that number 11, CJ Anthony, he looks at me and he's like, that number 11 kid, he's going to play. And my father was right because he was more than a standout on Friday. He shot the ball real well. He made a lot of great passes, and our defensive consistency looked great on Friday. And last year, I think we struggled a lot from shooting, and we weren't great consistently shooting. But the game on Friday, I thought we shot the ball really well. And I agree with you, Andrew. We kind of did lose it a little bit towards the end, but we got the job done. And I think that the new coach, Dan, I think he did a great job on Friday. And I actually get a good impression of how we're going to be. If we can stay consistently if we can shoot the ball consistently well, and if we can keep it up on defense, I think we're going to be good. The next home game is this upcoming Friday against Fordham, and they play a week from tomorrow at home against Princeton. Last year, the first game of the season, Iona played a great game against Princeton, but unfortunately they lost 81-80. So we'll see how they do from there. And what was interesting about Friday was it was a completely different team. Last year, they were a very good team and they really turned things around. Friday night, when I watched them play for the first time, it was a completely different team, all new members. So it's good to see new players and see what they can do. Based on how they played on Friday, Luca and Andrew, how do you think do you have confidence that they're going to have a good season?
Yes, I do have a great amount of confidence that they're going to be great. And a lot of the stuff that went wrong last season is going to be fixed for sure.
Without question. And I think they did a very good job on Friday. And to be honest with you, although they didn't start off the season well last season, they did turn things around last season, and they went on a shriek, and they were this close to making March Madness. So they were 1 win away from making March Madness. So I believe that if they can shoot the ball consistently well each game, and if they can play well defensively, I truly believe that if they can win a good amount of games before Christmas and New Year's, and if they can stay consistent in January, I think they have a good chance of winning March Madness. I don't know about winning March Madness, but I think they have a chance of going to March Madness if they stay consistent. Do you guys agree?
I agree 100%. And I think, especially with this team being a new team, the fact that they're able to gel this well early in the season is amazing. Certain teams, like, it takes them a little while to get their footing, but the fact that they gelled this well and the fact that they're playing as good as they are and with as much heart as they are, it just shows like it's amazing. Great signs for this team already to come. And I think we're gonna, like you said, Michael, we're gonna at least get into March Madness, but when it comes to those tournaments, it's all about like who's hot at the right moment. So we'll just have to see, and time will tell.
Without question. And the reason why they call March Madness is because madness happens in March. Anything can happen in March. The team that is like the best team and the team that's the hottest team going into the tournament, they could lose in the first round. And it's anybody's tournament and it's anybody's game going into March Madness. And the team that barely makes the tournament, they could go on a run and win the whole thing. It reminds me of in 1983 when the NC State Wolfpack team, that was the greatest underdog team, in my opinion, in the history of college basketball. I believe they lost like 10 or 12 games in the regular season. And at the end of the regular season, they almost didn't make March Madness. And former Iona head coach Jim Valvano, before he coached at NC State, he coached here at Iona from 1975 to 1980. And as a matter of fact, in the Iona gym, there's a banner that says Valvano from 1975 to 1980. And after Iona, he went to NC State, and he was a very inspirational guy. And he told his team at the end of the regular season going into the ACC tournament, he's like, fellas, it's very simple. If we do not win the ACC tournament, we will not make March Madness. The only way we can go to March Madness is if we win the ACC tournament. Let's get to work. NC State did not give up. They went through the ACC tournament with no problem. They beat the legend Ralph Sampson on Virginia, and as a matter of fact, they beat them in the ACC tournament. And they beat them in March Madness. So they beat them twice within the matter of a few weeks. And they won the ACC tournament championship. And going into the tournament, nobody thought they had a chance of going on a run. Everybody thought, all right, they got lucky in the ACC tournament. Now they're just going to maybe go to the second round of the tournament. In the first round of the tournament, they beat Pepperdine, I believe, in double overtime. And they were down by a good amount with like a minute to go, and they never gave up, and they came back and made some good plays, and they put Pepperdine on the free throw line, and they missed the free throws. And then each game, NC State was down by a lot with only a few minutes left in the game, and NC State never gave up, and they never lost faith. And what Jim Valvano said to his team, like the first practice of the 1983 season, was the first words that he said to the team was, "We are going to win a national championship." Luca and Andrew, do you agree that that is the sign of an inspirational, great coach?
Absolutely, 100%. If you have a coach that's able to motivate their players in the right way and to give them clear goals of what you were saying about the tournament that they had to win, NC State, in order to I believe to get into March Madness and to do good in March Madness, it's important to set goals for your players and expectations. And once those are clearly labeled, a team could do very good because they have something to work towards.
Absolutely. Luca, do you agree?
Yes, I agree 100%. He was definitely a great coach for NC State that year.
Without question. And they completely overcame the odds. And in the national championship game, they went up against Houston. Their nickname was the Pie Slammer Jam with Akeem Olajuwon, One of the players was Drexel. They were going up against an incredible team. NC State was the 6th seed, and all the odds were against them. And ironically, in the first half, NC State did an incredible job of guarding Houston, and NC State was up 33-25 at halftime. And in the second half, Houston started off on a 15-2 run to start the second half. But Jim Valvano and his team never gave up. They found a way. Each game in that tournament, they were down and they overcame the odds. And each time going into the game, they were predicted to lose, but they overcame the odds. They found a way. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't always perfect, but they got the job done, and they never gave up. And at the end of the game, they'll be remembered for the one play that's one of the best plays in the history of college basketball, probably one of the best plays in the history of basketball. Thurl Bailey, who went on to play in the NBA, he passed the ball to the guard Derek Wittenberg, who was their star, and he really carried their team throughout the tournament. He took a shot, and to this day, it looked like a shot, but it really looked like an alley hoop because it was not a good shot. And then Lorenzo Charles got the ball and dunked it, and NC State won. And Jim Valvano was so excited that he just went to look for somebody to hug, and he went to look at somebody to celebrate because he was so excited that they won. And to this day, that was, without question, the best play in the history of college basketball. And when a coach is so excited that he needs to find somebody to hug, that's a great sign of a guy who really cares about his players, right, Luca and Andrew?
Yes, I 100% agree.
And Jim Valvano said at the beginning, Jim Valvano, every season when he coached at NC State, during one practice, they wouldn't have any balls, they wouldn't have any they wouldn't do any drills, and the only thing that they would do was they would practice cutting down the net. They would bring the ladder up and they would cut down the net, and they would practice. And he said to his players, in a couple of months, this is going to be for real. So we got to make sure that we're doing this the proper way. And Jim Valvano said in his famous ESPN speech, he's like, we should be doing 3 things every day. Number 1 is laugh. Number 2, you got to spend some time thinking. And number 3, you should be taking those thinking into tears. And if you do that 3 times, do those 3 things in a day, I call that a complete day. And he said, my father gave me the greatest gift anybody could give me. He believed in me. And he said, there's only a certain amount of seconds in a day. It's up to you what you do with them. And he had a goal to win the national championship, and he never lost faith, and they completely overcame the odds. And at the end of the century, right before the year 2000, ESPN stated that when NC State beat Houston in the national championship, that was the greatest moment in college basketball in the 19th century. Luca and Andrew, what do you think makes an inspirational coach and leader?
What I think makes an inspirational coach and leader, like I was saying before, a coach that can clearly give some sort of goal to their players, but also, like you were saying before, about how Jim Valvano, how he was crying, not crying, he was looking to hug someone after they won.
I mean, he was like running all over the court. When they dunked it, all the fans and people stormed the court because it was such a huge upset. And Valvano looked one way, and then he couldn't find somebody, and then he ran. And then literally he ran to find somebody in the because they were all huddling up. He literally ran to find somebody. Very iconic.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd love to have a coach that actually cares about not only like the paycheck behind it, but also like the players themselves, and like a good team, a good sports team. I know from my experience as a youth baseball player, you consider yourself to be family, and it's more of like, it's sort of like a family that you have. That's like it's an unbreakable bond that you'll always remember for the rest of your life, and you want to be able to have that, and look back at that time and think of it positively, and think of it as like, hey, this coach did something positive for me as far as like improving my game, or just like making me feel happy on the court or on the field, whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Luca, do you agree with what Andrew said?
Yes, I do 100% agree that the money shouldn't be the forefront. It should be like yeah, about family and like the relationships you make, and like that's more important than the money.
And ironically, Andrew, what you just said sums up a great thing. There's when NC State won the national championship in 1983, and about 2013-14, around there, they made a documentary about the NC State team. One of my favorite documentaries ever, called "Survive and Advance," and all the members from the 1983 national championship team, they went to a bar, and the leader on the team that year, Derek Wittenberg, who actually coached at Fordham. He was a basketball coach at Fordham, and I believe he works now at NC State. He went to he got in his car and they all went to a restaurant, and they sat down and they talked about the experience of being on that team, and they talked about what they had to do to overcome it. And they literally met like 30 years later, after they won the national championship, and they still remember the key moments like it was yesterday. And they discussed all the important memories that they had. And 10 years after they won the national championship in 1993, they did a 10-year reunion of when NC State won the championship. And unfortunately, that's when Jim Valvano was sick, but he came to support the team. He came out to support the team, and when he came out and said a speech to his team about the memories that he had coaching that team, there were players in tears. The players were crying. I think they were crying because they reflected on the championship they won, and also because of how inspirational the coach was. And when they made the documentary, at the end of the Survive and Advance documentary, Derek Wittenberg, the star of NC State, he went into the gym and he closed his eyes. He stood in the gym and he closed his eyes and he thought about the last play in the championship game. And he was there in the gym and he was thinking about Coach Valvano and he was hysterically crying. And that was 30 years after they won the championship. He was like in his 50s or in his 40s, and he was crying because that's how much of an impact Coach Valvano had on his players. Now, the fact that he went back to the gym 30 years after he won the championship and cried, thinking about not just winning the championship, but the reflection on Coach Valvano, that just stands that he's not. Coach Jim Valvano wasn't just a great coach; he was a great man. Do you agree, Luca and Andrew?
Yes, I 100% agree. It definitely shows that it came down to him being a great person too, not just strictly a great coach.
I 100% agree with that too.
And Wittenberg was in tears, and people still talk about to this day that being one of the biggest upsets. And I truly believe that that one was the biggest. And after they won the championship, there was a cover in a magazine, and it had Derek Wittenberg, Sidney Lowe, and Thurl Bailey, the three of them, after they won the championship. And they after they won the championship, on the Sports Illustrated cover, it said "Miracle Workers," and that just goes to show that they never give up. And that just goes to show that it was miracle workers, and they never lost faith. Now we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about some very interesting topics that the three of us like. So thank you. We'll be back in a minute.
Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the Hack,
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied. Yafet Mundi.
to seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
The line drive into left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gales are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR sports radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
Press this or no. All right, welcome back to Michael, Andrew, and Luca's Excellent Adventure, episode 5. Now, we just talked about a lot of inspirational stuff about sports and about Jim Valvano, which was a great conversation. And just to recap about him, I don't think you'll find a more inspirational guy than him. He had a gift for being inspirational, and he was an incredible leader who will always be remembered. Now, we're going to switch our conversation over to something that the three of us really, really bond over, and the stuff that we get a kick out of: movies. I love all genres of movies except horror movies, and I could literally talk about movies all day. Now, Andrew, what is your favorite genre of movies?
My favorite genre of movies is comedy movies.
Luca, what's your favorite genre of movies?
Yes, my favorite is also comedy movies.
My favorite, it really depends on the day, but a genre of movies that I'll never watch is horror. But I love a great sports movie with a great story. I love a comedy movie. I like a drama movie, but it depends on the type of drama. So, Andrew, what is your favorite comedy movie?
My favorite comedy movie is Step Brothers.
Step Brothers is a legendary, hysterical movie. And as a matter of fact, I've been watching that movie since 4th grade. I'll never forget the first time I watched that movie. The first time I watched that movie was with my dad. I was in 4th grade, and him and I watched it. And I'll never forget it. The scene when John C. Riley, Dale Doback, he attacks Will Ferrell for touching his drum set, and they literally like took over the whole house. My dad's sitting there, and he's like, they're going to destroy the whole house. And then in like the middle of the movie, my father looks at me and he's like, "Do you want your honest truth? It's the parents' fault. You want to know why they don't have any jobs, and you want to know why they're just sitting at home not doing anything? It's the parents' fault. That's whose fault it is." And I went home for the weekend for Columbus Day weekend, and Step Brothers was on, and I watched it. And literally 10 years later, it still has the best impact. That's the sign of a great comedy movie. Luca and Andrew, what's your favorite scene in Step Brothers?
I mean, my favorite scene, it would probably have to be the scene you just said.
When the drum set fight,
Yes.
that was hysterical. That was a very funny scene.
I would have to pick, for me, it would be between one of two. Either the first one being when they were trying to build the bunk beds, or
That was hysterical.
yeah, that was a great scene.
Yes.
Or the one where they're all at the dinner table and they're telling Dale to grow up, and he goes, "I think I'm going to throw up."
And then he threw up, and then the dad's like, "Oh my God, he threw up." That was hysterical. And and another great scene that I love in the movie is the scene when they are the scene at the end at the Catalina wine mixer, when it was at the end of the movie and Dale was working for a catering business and Will Ferrell went to go work for his brother's business, but then it got to the point where the dad said to the boys, like, "You kind of have to know who you are. Is this who you guys are?" And then the father's like, "I hated the way you guys were before. I mean, I hated you, but it just really, it hurts me to see you so crushed and normal." And he's like, "You got to go prestige worldwide. And then that's what you got to do." And then they went up and started singing, and then the father was cheering, and that part was funny. What was your favorite character in Step Brothers?
My favorite character, I would probably would have to say Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell is hysterical in every movie. Andrew, who was your favorite character?
My favorite was probably Dale Doback or the father, because
Yes.
he had some pretty funny reactions.
My favorite character in the movie was the dad, and besides him, either one of the stepbrothers, they both made me equally laugh. Now, another classic movie is the movie Back to the Future, and the actor who played Doc, Christopher Lloyd, just turned 87 on October 22nd. Luca, what was your favorite scene in the original Back to the Future?
One of my favorite scenes from the original Back to the Future would definitely have to be when Marty and Doc are at the mall and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, and Andrew, do you remember Back to the Future?
I remember it vividly. I also I had watched the Broadway version of the play. It's pretty similar. But like my favorite, to answer your question from earlier, my favorite scene of that is like when they're going back to when like Marty's parents were kids and they're trying to like prevent. I think they were trying to prevent Biff from like dating Marty's mom.
Yes. And my favorite scene in Back to the Future is when Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, is singing Johnny Be Good on the stage. That part was great. And another scene I like in Back to the Future, it's at the end of the movie, and Marty's Marty's father goes and he looks at Biff waxing Marty's dad's car, and he says to Biff, he's like, Biff, now Biff, make sure you have 2 coats of wax on the car, not just one. And then Biff's like, I'm just finishing up the second coat now. And then Marty's dad's like, now Biff, don't con me, okay? Make sure that you get both waxes on the car. And then Biff's like, I'm sorry, Mr. McFly, I was just starting on the second coat. And then the father's like, oh, Biff, what a character. Now, do you agree that the sequels in Back to the Future, did you think they were as good as the original?
No, I do not think that the sequels were nearly as good as the original.
Andrew, do you agree?
Yeah, I'll have to agree with Luca on that one. And just like any movie in general, this is a good rule of thumb. The sequel is never really as good as the original, but I would 100% agree with Luca.
There are a few exceptions, but in general, yes, typically the original is better than the sequel. Back to the Future Part 2, I wouldn't say it was terrible, but I didn't think it was nearly as good as 1. And 3, no good. I didn't think it was as good as 1. Now, Luca and Andrew, what do you think is the rare exceptions where a sequel is as good as the original, or if not better than the original?
I would have to say the um the Alien movie series. I would probably say the movie Aliens was better than Alien, the first one.
Now, how many Alien movies are there?
I feel like there's at least 4 or 5.
And you think that the second Aliens movie was better than the first one?
Yes, I do.
Andrew, do you have any examples of sequels being better than the original or almost better?
I mean, I can't really think of a couple off the top of my head. These ones might be a little bit debated. Like The Sandlot 2, I thought was a pretty good movie, but like some people would argue that it's not as good as the original, but I think it cuts it pretty close.
It is. It was actually very entertaining. I would have to go with the original Sandlot, but Sandlot 2, it was actually pretty good. Andrew and Luca, what was your favorite scene in the original Sandlot?
My favorite scene was when Johnny was setting off all the rockets by accident. Either that or like when they were doing all the what's called all the stuff. Gotcha. When they were doing all the 4th of July fireworks.
Now, I like the song and when they're setting off the fireworks in the Sandlot too. But in the first Sandlot, do you remember your favorite scene in that one, or is it the fireworks scene?
In the first Sandlot, my favorite one is probably not the fireworks scene. I would say probably like at the end when they flash forward to Benny being in the major leagues.
Yes, and I actually really get a kick out of the scene when Benny, gets safe and wins the game, and I love Scotty Smalls' reaction. He's like, and there he goes. He's stealing home. I don't see it. They don't see it. The pitch, and then he's like, "Hey, he's hit the 30. He's safe. He's safe." And then he turns around and he high fives the guys, and he gets so excited. And he's like, "I don't believe it. The Jets stole home. The Jets stole home." And then they pick Benny up, and then Benny looks up at Scotty and he gives the thumbs up. And I actually remember when I was a junior in high school 2 years ago, the day before Easter, Me and my brother's friend, we went to the Mets game, and when they hit the home run, I actually reacted the way Scotty Smalls did. He's like, the Jet stole home, the Jet stole home. And every time they hit a home run, I did that. It was great speaking with you, Andrew and Luca. And Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to having another great adventure. Thank you.
Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports.